Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 19 of Celestial Journey. I've been working on making the Gaia Guardian fight as easy as possible, so I've done a few things. First of all, I've upgraded my armor. I now have the Ender gear that's fully empowered and it has a lot of armor on it. In total, well, I have all the armor bars, but it's also enchanted with protection and fire protection on the legs. To improve my survivability even further, I have regeneration and saturation from an environment controller covering the entire arena, and then some. And, well, I've already fought the boss a few times, so I have a Ring of Odin giving me 10 more hearts for 30 total. So, as for the shield, the only change I made to it was really cosmetic. I made it spherical. Well, and I lowered the entire arena by a level so that mobs can't stand on the the iron here and be safe. Side effect of that, unfortunately, is that the arena doesn't like that. I can't start the fight because it's like, hey, you got shield blocks, obstructing the whole arena. So I press this button to lower the shield for a few seconds, start the fight. A couple seconds later, basically I have the button turn the shield off for like 5 seconds or so, and then the boss comes up. And then you just stand here and shoot him. No fully automatic ways of damaging him have worked so far. Like, I can throw splash harming potions at him, but if the potion is thrown by a dispenser, it doesn't work. Like spikes of various forms don't work. Obviously, you see the shield isn't working. The shield doesn't even seem to damage his pixies, which is a little annoying. Like, I had the shield in solid mode to try to kill the pixies so that they don't like bounce me around. But that didn't work either. Oh well, it's not like difficult or anything, it's just like it bounce around a little bit. But yeah, this is how I've been doing Gaia Guardian now. And during the intermission, I just have to, I don't even have to do anything, I can AFK. But I move around a bit so I don't get bounced quite as much. I still have to enchant my gear with mending, because you see, it still takes a little bit of damage. I think it's like 5% of the time when it gets hit, it takes damage. So I have to enchant it with mending at some point. But anyways, I think this is as easy as I'm going to get the Guardian of Gaia in this pack. Various tricks like, I can't spawn multiples. If I get more, well, I don't think I have any Terra Steel left. But if I had more Terra Steel, I couldn't spawn another Guardian right now. I'd have to wait till this one dies. But yeah, this will, be the way I farm Gaia Guardians for now. I probably won't show any more of these on camera because it's honestly pretty boring. And at the end, we get the loot. So mainly Dice of Fates and Gaia Spirits. So Dice of Fate, hey, we got the key. I don't have any mana on me, I can't use it. But the Gaia Spirits are what we need a bunch of. So yeah. Anyways, that's probably going to be the last Gaia Guardian I fight in the immediate future because I don't really need the spirits too much right now. But now that we have some, we can upgrade our mana production even a little further by swapping all our Elven mana spreaders out for Gaia mana spreaders. A cute trick that someone showed me on my Discord server is that you can craft your wireless crafting terminal with any, like this is a regular extra cells way of adding terminals to your wireless terminal. I already added a crafting terminal to it. Basically, if you craft your regular wireless terminal with a crafting terminal like this, or not that terminal, the ME crafting terminal, you can, when you get it back, you can shift right click to change the modes, and when you set it into crafting mode, you can unlock the wireless crafting terminal. I'm not sure if that's intended, I suspect it isn't, but I'm gonna use it because I'm a dirty cheater. It's honestly not that, like, we're pretty close to be able to make the wireless crafting terminal, right? Let's look at how close are we to be able to craft 2 of these? Bunch more logic processors, but yeah, mostly just processors. I can increase the capital energetic alloy. Like, it's only a little bit of cheating, all right? And it still doesn't work interdimensionally. You still need to craft these infinity cards. And that's not where I put the text. Infinity cards still take Awakened Draconium. So, yeah, that's not happening anytime soon. I also took this opportunity to upgrade our mana pools to the Dreaming mana pool, or the double pool. I first spent all our mana making like mana diamonds and similar things. Another thing I did was I placed our mana spreaders right up against the mana pool. apparently one limitation on how fast a mana spreader can send mana is that it can only have one mana burst active at a time. So if there's a distance between the spreader and the pool, sometimes it'll have to wait extra long between bursts. But anyways, as it's set up now, these Gaia mana spreaders each can send, I think, somewhere around 2 to 3 times as much mana per burst as the Elven ones. So we can now put a lot more of these cake plants and generate mana much faster. So how about I'll go craft, let's see, I think I have 13 rows. So I'll go craft like another 26, and I think each spreader should be able to handle 3 cakes. I also put mana spreaders on the other side of all our mana pools to feed rune crafting. First of all, it makes rune crafting much faster. But, I need one more range on this maybe even. Anyways, but, you see, it almost immediately is able to craft low tier runes, and even high tier runes craft very quickly. But there's one small problem. Only the, ones in the middle-ish actually are hitting the mana altar. If we look, the ones on the side are actually hitting the spreader in front of it. So when that happens, you just have to put a phantom lens on the affected mana spreaders, and that'll cause it to shoot the lens, or it'll cause the mana burst to shoot through. Well, I thought it would cause it to shoot through. I guess phantom lenses don't let mana burst shoot through other mana devices. Okay. Let me see if I have a different option. So what I did was I put a phantom lens on this one earlier to let it shoot through the mechanical user, but I guess phantom lenses don't let them shoot through other spreaders. Ultimately, I wasn't able to find a solution for the, not having all of these shoot, but I think I'm okay with that. I mean, look at how fast these tier 3 runes craft, right? Like, it starts and it's, 3 seconds to craft? That's fast enough for now. We actually spend more time waiting on this timer than we do waiting on the mana, so yeah, good enough. Later we'll replace the altar with a elven altar so that the mana is spread by spark, which will make it basically instant. Alright, and here we have it. I think there's 13 mana pools and 39 cake flowers. So this will produce mana very quickly, and that should hopefully take us, through the mid and late game. At some point this will be insufficient, but I'm missing one flower. Let's make one more. I have one. At some point, yeah, in the end game, this will be insufficient, but we'll tackle that problem much later. So now that we're essentially done with the progression part of Botania, why don't we move on to the next magic mod, which is Thaumcraft. So I'll admit I'm not terribly familiar with this version of Thaumcraft. I used it super extensively in 1.7, but a lot has changed since then. So, yeah, bear with me, I might make some silly mistakes. Anyways, it seems you start off the same way. You make a research table and you do your research. Now, we don't have to, we have a way to make research easier, and I'll show you that in just 1 second. So Thaumcraft has this research minigame you can do where you spend inspiration to gain points. And your goal, I think, is to get one of these to 100%. So, I don't know. Let's see if we can pull it off. In any event, I don't think this is terribly... Well, I didn't get to 100. But you still get points if you don't get to 100. Anyways, I don't think that's terribly important because you can just take these preserved curiosities, which we got from our quarry. That's how you spelled it. Curiosity. So, yeah, we have a couple thousand, and you just right-click them, and you get... it's as if you were doing research. And this is much easier than actually doing the research minigame. So back to the quest book. Looks like we have to create Salus Mundus. To do this, I'm not quite sure what this is. This is normally the Salus Mundus crystal, but you obviously can't use it to make it. So I suspect this is saying it'll accept any Vis crystal, or V crystal, I think is how it's pronounced. But let's try it. Any V crystal with molybdenum should make that. Yeah, that appears to be the case. So I'm just using Terra because that's one we have the most of from our quarry. So grab some of this, complete the quest, and then we can finally make the Thaumanomicon, which is both the documentation book and how you unlock various features. So we need a bookshelf. Just got a new keyboard, by the way. So for one, it should be less clicky. For two, I'm missing a bunch of keys. I think you just click it with the Salus Mundus and it becomes your Thaumanomicon. Nice. With the Thaumanomicon, once you open it, you can read a bunch. But I think, yeah, how do I, let's see. How do I unlock things? One sec. So normally I try to pretend like I know what I'm doing in Minecraft, but this time I honestly have no clue. So I'm going to be doing a lot of reading, but it seems like it wants us to click Salus Mundus on a crafting table to make an arcane workbench. Good thing we have plenty of those. So much like before, all right. Once we do that, we can hit the complete button, and I think it'll unlock the next step, which is we have to make a thermometer. So this is basically just a normal crafting table, with the exception of there are 6 slots around the sides for the 6 elemental or basic V crystals. And instead of V being in your wand, like it was before, now it's just in the chunk. So there's like 139 available, and we consume 20 of it. And I think it slowly recovers over time. But if we need more, we can go to another chunk. So if we see, oh, right on a border, nice. So that was 129 or whatever, or 119 left after I crafted. Come on, get back here. Ring. And then we should see, yeah, there's a different amount right here because it's in another chunk. Now that we have our thermometer, we can, or is that what it's called? Yeah, thermometer. We can look through it, and if you look on the upper left there, stacked with all the other UI elements, it'll tell you approximately how much V is in a chunk. You can also shift right click or just right click objects in general to like learn about the aspects that are in them. That's one way to get these knowledge points, you know, aside from using those ancient curiosities or whatever they're called. Anyways, I don't think it's that important in this version of Thaumcraft to scan everything. It used to be like the first thing you do in Thaumcraft is you go around scanning literally every block in your base and in the world. But I don't know. I don't think that's quite so necessary anymore. So anyways, to complete research for each of these nodes is like tasks you have to do. So for this, I have to craft describing tools. And I had already crafted one, but actually I auto-crafted it like this. So I didn't get credit for that. I have to do it myself. And I actually hope that counts as me crafting it. It does. Cool. So then you can complete it. It gives you another few pages to read. Not interested. So then you come here, it says, hey, so this says this type of thing, to complete it, it consumes this knowledge. So if we look at it, we have all these knowledges. We can gain them by doing stuff on the research table, as I shown earlier, or because we use ancient knowledge curiosities, that just straight up completes. So I'll read this at some point in the future. Anyways, moving on, alchemy, it wants us to make a crucible, which I assume is a cauldron with Salus Mundus. And this is an important crafting mechanic in Thaumcraft. The crucible lets you like melt items down into their various aspectuses and craft with that. And Thaumcraft has a bunch of different types of tasks that you're sent to do. So I have to go to the lowest depths and the highest peaks of the world. I wonder if just going up is good enough. Looks like it is. So just going up covers the highest, and I'll go into my mines to cover the lowest. And as you do more research, more tabs open up. So since we've done alchemy, we've now unlocked the alchemy tab, which has a bunch more tasks in it. And likewise, the infusion tab has a bunch more tasks in it. At this point, I'm probably not going to bother showing all the various research steps unless it's something particularly interesting. But if it's just like, you know, craft one of these or go somewhere type tasks, I'll probably skip those. The quest book says something about silverwood leaves regenerating V. So I planted one in our ME controller. It fits nicely, and I think it looks pretty decent. That's the prettiest build I've made all map. So one of the first things we're going to create in the crucible here is alchemical brass. The recipe says we have to throw an energetic alloy ingot in when there's instrumentium in the crucible. So if you click this, JAI will tell you all the items that have it. Now when crafting, ideally you want to have minimal leftovers, because leftover stuff in the crucible will pollute the chunk you're in with, I think it's called like flux or something, and that's bad. So I have rupee shovels here, which have 28 instrumentium each, and alchemical brass takes 5. So it's what, like 5 to 1? So let's try that real quick. And I also have some quartz silvers or slivers. These are basically like a quartz nugget, and they can be thrown into crucibles just to clean them up. They'll absorb, more or less everything that's in them and turn them into their crystal form. So it's like a sponge to make sure you don't make a mess. So let's actually do a shovel. So when you throw the shovel in there, if you look at it with your thermometer, I threw my thermometer in there. Shoot. Now I have a bunch of stuff in there. Okay, I gotta clean that up. So yeah, when you throw your quartz in there, it just picks up whatever was left. And apparently there was some duresium in there. But I did make the 5 alchemical brass. So I can do the same. Apparently right-clicking it in there consumes it. It also consumed the water, so I have to add some water. But you see that like purple stuff coming off? I think that's a sign that I did something not good. And if I had a thermometer left that I didn't throw in here, I could probably see the flux that I just released into this chunk. And in fact, I think there's still stuff like V left in here, because when I fill it with water and throw more quartz slivers in, it'll still absorb stuff. And you see the water goes away, but various crystals come out. Those were, again, part of the thermometers that I accidentally put in. So I do believe you can pipe water into there from like water sources. Let's confirm that. Yeah, it'll accept water from piped sources, which is good. So now I can do this to clean it up. I actually think releasing flux into the area, like into your base, is extremely bad. So the mistake I made there, it might come back and bite me. But at the same time, I think silverwood has some effect on fixing it. So we'll see if I did something really stupid or not. But it seems like we've cleaned it up. Anyways, I'm going to need a new thermometer that I'm going to not put in the crucible this time. So an upgrade to the thermometer is the Goggles of Revealing. I think these, when worn in the head slot... What's this? Anyways, they give you a similar effect where if you look at things that normally would have a UI, like, I don't know, let's throw that in there. Yeah, you see the amounts of resources, so that you don't have to look at it with your goggles. Now we can even do one better. So by taking these goggles of revealing, we can combine them into our Ender helmet, which is one significant reason why I went with the Ender helmet. It can be combined with the Botania gear too, but we can more easily, let's see, do that and then install it into our helmet. Whoops, I have to wear the helmet for that to work. Install that into this slot, and now we should get that effect while wearing our Ender helmet. So perfect. And now we can know that our crucible is nice and almost empty. The Goggles of Revealing, however, don't fully replace the thermometer. So if we look here, Discovering Golomancy wants us to study an animated construct. I think just looking at the Iron Golem doesn't cut it. We have to scan it with this. And I suspect that counts as study an animated construct. So you still will need your thermometer, and you can use it to like scan items in your inventory to learn the aspects that are in them. But it seems in this version of Thaumcraft, you just get to know the aspects in items without scanning them, which is, I think, a good quality of life improvement. Now, one thing to be kind of careful about is that, again, you can right-click items directly into this crucible. So be careful what's on your hotbar, because if you were to like right-click your laser gun into it, it's gone. You're not getting it back. So on the one hand, it makes crafting slightly easier because you don't have to drop the items. You can right-click them. On the other hand, it is a recipe for accidents because it voids whatever you click in immediately. The process of crafting alchemical brass and thaumium, throwing various things into crucibles, is messy. So I quickly want to switch over to producing them with the seeds. Thankfully, it's an easy recipe. Now that we have the thing that was keeping us from making Supremium earlier was that this infusion crystal takes Gaia spirits, but we have those now. So we can now make both alchemical brass and thaumium seeds. Maybe? Every now and then, for some reason, that'll flash, but the blocks won't actually swap. And I'm not quite sure why. But nonetheless, woohoo, seeds. Seeds. There we go. And I'll do the same for thaumium. So far, we've been dealing with V. That is like when you throw stuff in the crucible, it's like dissolved in the water, the aspects. Well, there's another form that we have access to now. I believe it's called Essentia. So by melting down items in a Essentia smeltery, the smeltery uses any type of furnace fuel, but I think it's more efficient if you use aluminium specifically. So I'm using that. You'll turn it into the resultant, like those two, the feather and the wind aspects in, I think it's called Essentia form. And those will get put into the alembics above the smeltery. So you can then right-click an alembic with a warded jar, and that'll fill the jar from said alembic. And I think each jar holds... Oh, I thought they held 64, but apparently they hold way more than that. Maybe like about 4 times that, somewhere around 255 Essentia. Another thing you can do is hold them in these files. And I think it's the same way. You right-click it, yeah, and these hold 10 each. And I think these can be thrown, or I don't know. I know they're definitely used in crafting, but I think they can also be tossed into... the files can be tossed into crucibles for exactly 10 of the things. So this has 10 feather or volatus. So if I toss it in there, it'll form exactly 10. Now, to get it out in crystal, if I throw quartz slivers in there, it's 2-to-1, so I lose half of it in the process. But that's one way we can cleanly turn items into their resultant, components without wasting any. One thing we can do with our Essentia smeltery, in addition to using it, obviously, is to upgrade it to the Thaumium Essentia smeltery. So when you upgrade it, it is both more efficient insofar as it vents less. I noticed that when you smelt stuff in here, what's something I can smelt? Yeah, let's do some gold. When you smelt it, if you look every now and then, it'll release a little purple puff, and that's it venting some of the Essentia in here. So when you upgrade it, not only does it vent less, actually, I don't know if I break it if it vents everything, but it's also much faster at converting it from basically at pumping it into the alembics. So there is one issue with that craft though. It costs 250 V, and in fact, if I put it in here, even with a 5% discount from the helmet, 237 is greater than the total available in the chunk. So I can't craft this here. I have to find a chunk that has at least that 237 or whatever, and I found such a chunk over here. You see it has, this one only has 223. I swear I saw one earlier. I even had a waypoint here. Where did I put the waypoint? Yeah, okay, here it is. 253 Essentia. I think I'm right on a border. Yeah. So this chunk here has enough to do the craft. So let's set up another crafting table here, or workbench here. And then we can make our upgraded Essentia smeltery. So I think what will happen is this chunk will gradually recover its Essentia, or its I always get the two words mixed up. Is it V or is it Essentia? Anyways, it'll gradually recover this number. And if I want to make it go faster, I think I can plant a tree here, a thaumium or a silverwood tree. But since it's not like my main crafting area, I'll just leave it be. So now that we have this, I can, once again, we can melt gold in here. Probably don't have to melt it all, but put some fuel. And we can see it turns it into this slurry. And then the slurry will once again get piped into these alembics where we can pick them up with either the glass vials or the water jars. We've now gone far enough that we can unlock the Runic matrix. This is probably the single most important crafting mechanic in Thaumcraft, but first we have to craft the Runic matrix, and I believe that is made with Botania bits. So let's see. First of all, we see it already says it takes 4 mana pools to craft. I'm not quite sure what that recipe is, but yeah, so some arcane stone, some, I think, any V crystal, and yellow niter. So let's grab that. So I don't have any. Yeah, I do. Okay, so niter. You know what? Let me just grab components real quick. And the last part we need is a Dice of Fate, which drops from the Gaia Guardian, so I guess we have to kill him one more time. Before you can use the Dice of Fate in crafting, you have to clear the MBT data off of it. I think normally, you see how here it's soulbound to me. By doing this, you can unbind it. Apparently, if you put it back in inventory, it gets soulbound again. So you probably want to do that programmatically. So when you in the crafting recipe, you have an unbound one, and then we can just tell it that it can do this to unbind mine. And we'll add that as a crafting recipe, and then we should be able to go auto craft a, this is called Runic Matrix. Missing 1 Dice of Fate. Can you craft this? All right. Let's fix that recipe then. I'll just, whatever it thinks it's, basically in this recipe, instead of that dice, I'll use this dice. I don't even know what the difference is. They both have 0 MBT tags. I hope picking it up on my cursor. Yeah, okay. It doesn't get MBT data until I put it in my inventory. So hopefully this will work. All right, 1 runic altar. And you saw there it says it takes 4 mana pools to craft. So I expect it'll have to get blasted with mana for a good while. Huh, it doesn't like that recipe. What did I do wrong? 4 arcane... Oh, I used arcane stone, not arcane stone bricks. 1 second. Let's try that one more time. Oopsies, what's it called? Matrix. I think Thaumcraft is the only magic mod that doesn't have an altar. All the other ones have an altar of some form. Why are you still not crafting? Asisten los. One moment, I guess. Alright, I just took the dice out and put it back in, and it worked. So apparently it should be the dice that's bound to you, not the dice that's unbound. Anyways, this will take it quite some time of blasting away. I'll go fight another Gaia Guardian just so I can go correct that recipe while this crafts. Killed a Gaia Guardian, and in that time we've only gotten through just under half of the Runic Altar. So I'll come back in another couple minutes and hopefully we will have our Runic Altar fully crafted. The first one finished and I started up a second one just to make sure the auto crafting recipe was good. And I also realized that if I just remove the 2 mana spreaders in the spots that don't have mana spreaders anymore, I can get all but all but those 2 spreaders to fire. So we're still not 100% perfect because these 2 mana spreaders, or these 2 mana pools, aren't contributing to the crafting, but it's a little bit faster. So anyways, let's pick up the Runic Matrix so we can complete some quests. Let's see, we need some pedestals to use it too, so I guess I'll make these really quickly. Alright, that gives us a Corporea index. I've never used the Corporea system in Botania before. I think it's like an item transportation system. These are new. Decreases the duration but increases the cost. Reduces the cost but increases the duration. Huh. Okay. These weren't in Thaumcraft before, but completing that should also unlock a thing in here. Items that need to be crafted. I did craft one. It's right here. Oh, I think what happened was because I didn't... Okay, hold on. Because I didn't do the crafting, like I had the, the mechanical user did the crafting, it didn't give me credit. So on this second one, I'm going to make sure to complete it myself instead of letting the mechanical user complete it, because I think that's what triggers this. Right, because it says items that need to be crafted. Oh no, never mind. That's why this recipe exists. So that I can complete that. Aha! Clever pack design. Okay, I was wondering why that recipe existed. Cool. So now that we have this, we can set up our infusion system, our infusion altar. I'll do it over here. We're going to need a lot of these altars eventually, but we'll start with one. But I think we are at the wrapping up point for this episode, so that'll be tomorrow's project. I'm sorry today was a little derpy. Usually I try to be better prepared, but I haven't used much of this version of Thaumcraft, so we got to learn as we go. Anyways, I hope you liked it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.